think about it this way. Let's say that you buy a house for $100,000 and you're going to sell it for $150,000. And okay, that's great. You're going to make a $50,000 profit. Not in my world. I'm going to make a $500,000 profit on that property because of the fact that we're going to provide financing for that customer for the next 40 years. Potentially, I'm going to make a $500,000 off that property.
All right, guys, here we go now. It is time to unlock more doors to deals. We're real estate investors here. We're real estate agents here, and we all have one thing in common. We believe that we can. We can live the life of our purpose. We can create financial freedom. We can build a better life for those that we love, and we can live the life of our dreams. I don't care if you're trying to do your first deal or your 500th this year. You can get to the next level, and we're here to help. Welcome to Doors to Deals. I'm your host and founder, Jim Manning. Today's episode can be found on doorstodeals.com/073. So today, ladies and gentlemen, today we have Lou Brown on the line. Lou is a legend. This guy, I don't want to date him. I don't want to make him feel old. Lou, if you're listening, man, sorry if this is going to make you feel old. But anyway, he's been with us for a long time. He has taught mentors of mine, mentors have been like his students at this real estate investing game. So this dude has been doing it for a long time. And oh man, I just feel honored to have done this interview and the value that Lou brings and to really, quite frankly, just kind of be able to consider him a friend. I mean, this guy is a legend, and I am honored to bring you this episode today. So before we get started, just a quick sidebar. We help people become financially free investing in real estate. Our goal is to help 250 people over the next 10 years get to that financial freedom mark. And we're doing a pretty good job at it right now. Right now, we're generating about $130,000 a month of passive income for people to invest in real estate. So if you have any interest in building a passive income portfolio when it comes to real estate, just shoot us over an email, deals@3doors.com, and we can get you more information on what we have available there. Additionally, there's a lot of other great ways that we can work with you too. So just check out our website, doorstodeals.com. Finally, let's get into our iTunes review of the week.
This week's review comes to us from Dave2254 titled Doors to Freedom, 5 stars. Dave writes, "The Doors to Deals podcast is fantastic. Successful investors share all of their secrets on how to do more deals and how they achieve freedom from investing in real estate. Jim does a great job breaking things down into actionable steps for the listener." Dave, thank you for your review. Jim, back to you.
All right, guys, the talk's over. Let's get started with the interview. All right, guys, Jim and Caleb here. Today we have none other, the man, the myth, the legend. Lou Brown is on the line. And we had the opportunity to hang out, have a beer with this guy a couple months ago at kind of like a mastermind group meeting. And this guy has been in the business just a little bit. I don't want to make you feel like I'm aging you or anything, but you've accomplished a tremendous amount in your life. I really enjoyed talking with you and kind of connecting one-on or in person a couple of months ago. And I've been excited ever since that you said you'd be able to come on the show for the last couple of months. So the man that really needs no introduction, but I just gave him one, Lou Brown. So tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Man, Jim, this is fantastic. Thank you very much for inviting me. And hopefully I'm going to have some words of wisdom for a few folks today. Yeah, I've been buying, holding, and selling real estate for over 40 years. You didn't want to say it, but I'll say
it. Yeah, I'm 30. I'm only 37, Lou. And
yeah, exactly.
Caleb's not even 30
real estate longer than you've been alive.
I'm 29, so you definitely bought your first house probably before I was alive.
Yep, bought my first house when I was 18 years old. Wow. And I learned a very valuable lesson in that experience. I learned that you could buy property by taking over existing financing on the property. And so that became my business model. So pretty much I have never been to the bank. I have never qualified for a loan on a single family or small multifamily property. And I have discovered that the seller is the bank. So when you've got the opportunity for the seller to be the bank, and of course you say the right things to them, you ask the right questions, you discover what cure you can bring to the table in terms of the problems, the challenges that they've got, and showing them how it makes a lot of sense for them to be the bank, then it's worked out very well for me and my students all these years to approach the business that way.
You know what's funny about this, Lou, is like Kelly and I are thinking like, okay, we're mapping out a plan like for kind of like our quote unquote dream house over the next couple of years and doing all of that. I spend like a couple of days on it thinking about it, and then I'm like, why don't I just do like a subject to deal like for my existing house? Like what am I like what am I thinking? Like I do this every day.
What is this new build nonsense?
Yeah, like I'm like, what is going on here? So like,
no, seriously, and you take it one more step, and there's another aspect of what I teach is called $10 houses. So when it's for your own house, it even makes sense to do a $10 house, and that means an upside down house that has bad paperwork on it. So I teach people how to find the bad paperwork, and these are abandoned houses. These are vacant houses. These are houses that the banks haven't yet started to foreclose on. Typically, sometimes they have, but typically we're finding properties that they haven't even started foreclosing on. So that would be a great long-term house. It'd be not tying up money into the place that you live is a really good investment. Because of course, the house that you live in is not really an investment. It's a place to live.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, so you did this since you've been 18. Did you do anything else professionally, or was it just real estate?
I did. I bought my first house when I was 18, but it wasn't for the purposes of investing. It was for our own personal residence. And so I discovered that now I was raised very poor. I was raised by my mother, a single mom. She had come over as an immigrant. She came over as a war bride on the Queen Mary, and she got to America, and she discovered that the person that she was married to, her American trooper husband, wasn't the best choice. So she was able to, divest herself of that. And then she met my father, I jokingly say, her second mistake. So that it just ended up being the two of us. And we had an amazing ride. We kind of raised each other. And so the first house that I bought was the first house I actually lived in. So I was raised in apartments. I was raised very, very poor. And so that opportunity to take over that existing financing on that property is what gave me the chance to buy that property just at 18 years old. And my mother was my first tenant.
Wow. That is amazing. Like just my brain wrapping around the fact that you were able to pull that off at 18. I'm sure you had a lot of questions. Did you have a mentor, or how'd you kind of learn that at 18 years old?
That's a great story. So I saw my mother's friends, because pretty much her friends were adults. And since the way we were positioned with the apartment we had and what have you, her friends became my aunts and uncles, even though they weren't blood relatives at all. So it was Aunt Mabel and Uncle George. At 8 years old, Aunt Mabel told me she bought the duplex that they lived in. And she said the people on the other side were paying enough money in rent to cover the mortgage. And that got my little 8-year-old brain all wrapped around that. And so they lived in one side, rented out the other. And then a year later, they bought another one, and half of the duplex was paying for the mortgage and the other half was their money. And then they bought another one and another one on the same street. If you can imagine target marketing, right? On the same street, they're buying these duplexes. And then they ended up with a brand new house on a corner lot, all brick home, 2-story house. And I said, Aunt Mabel, how did you do this? And she said 2 words that changed my life. She said, accumulate property. She said, accumulate property. And sure enough, that is the message that I received. And that's what I believe in. So we are buy, hold, sell. That is our mantra. That's our motto. That's what we do. And how we do it is actually to give our buyers an opportunity to someday own the home or own a different home.
I love that. So yeah, we do a lot of the same thing with giving our tenants an opportunity on the home. And it's such a great way for them to
keep going
to become homeowners. So I love that because it's not just placing a tenant that you're getting money from. You're actually giving people the opportunity for home ownership.
Oh, well, you're going to love this. So this is our path to home ownership, where we help deserving families, regardless of credit or financial background, to end up with home ownership. So in our world, we're actually promoting this as a strategy, and we actually have people join our membership, and you get paid for that. And then we deliver a whole bunch of videos and a lot of training to them, a lot of bonuses. We deliver this book to them, a lot of cool stuff. And that gets them in the game. And then what we do is actually go about finding a property for them. So instead of having to, risk the real estate, buying the wrong real estate in the wrong area where you fix it up and then somebody comes in and rips it all off, we have learned that better is to already have a customer, then custom buy a property for that customer and give them an opportunity to, do some or all of the work to the home and earn a credit towards their down payment.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so we're just doing one just like that right now, actually. Yeah. So question for you. So you said buy, hold, and sell, Lou. And you see like a lot of craze on like flipping. You go to HGTV and you see like hey, I made $100,000 on this flip and all that jazz. So why are you so focused on buy, hold, and sell versus kind of the quick buck on either the wholesale or like the flipping?
Well, you kind of put your finger on it, Jim. That is a very interesting thing because you made $100,000, let's say in that example. However, you filed the taxes the following year, you actually find out what you really made because, of course, short-term capital gains. And of course, there's many proposals in Congress right now to change that, make it a lot worse than it currently is. Not like that it's bad. It's not bad now, but it can get a lot worse. And so I always, warn people, particularly wholesalers, I say, have you looked at the tax implications of what you're doing? So the reason I like buy, hold, sell is because during that hold period, I've actually got write-offs. I can build up that depreciation. We can do accelerated depreciation, which gives us an even higher loss, so to speak, in the depreciation. You can use that collective loss to offset your gains when you do sell a property. So I look at it as a spectrum of the steps in the path to home ownership is also a tax benefit: rent, rent to own, owner finance, cash sale. So those 4 different steps, each one of them has its own tax benefits. So buy, hold, sell, to me, is the better way to go because you are getting that big benefit.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems to me like, okay, you make 100,000 and then you have taxes, and then the money, if that's what you have to live on, then that money can kind of evaporate pretty quick.
Right. Not only do you have federal taxes, but you also have state taxes as well. So by the time you're done with all that, depending on the state, heck, that can chew up a great deal of the profit.
Yeah, and there's really not. We've talked about this on other episodes. Like I almost would want to propose us changing the words that we're using on. So flippers and wholesalers, like you could be a doctor, an oral surgeon, you could be a lawyer, you can be a marketing person at a corporate America job, or you could be a flipper or a wholesaler. Like that's just the way to make income. is not actually being a real estate investor. What an investor does is they take money and they invest it into an asset, and then they get a return on that asset. So, I mean, I would go as so far as to say, like you're really just getting a job, whether that's a doctor job or a marketing job, if you're flipping or you're wholesaling.
You're so right, Jim. That is a great observation, because the idea is that if you're not investing, the idea of investing is to do something today that produces an income forever, right? That's the real strategy, is forever you're going to be making money off that property, and potentially. And for example, you take the path to home ownership. When we have someone move in, say at the rent to own level, well, they build up while they're with us, they build up to convert to our in-house financing program. When they convert to the in-house financing program, now we're providing 40-year financing for those folks. So we're getting paid now for the next 40 years. So they might have been a lease optionee for, say, 2 or 3 years. And then now I'm going to have that customer for another, who knows how long, potentially up to 40 years. And that's a beautiful retirement plan, if you ask me.
I would love to hear more on the 40-year plan and like how you're working that, because that's so interesting and unique.
Well, what's interesting is with just a few properties, you can have over $10 million retirement. And it sounds bizarre, it sounds crazy, but it's absolutely true. And so think about it this way. Let's say that you buy a house for $100,000 and you're going to sell it for $150,000. And okay, that's great. You're going to make a $50,000 profit. Not in my world. I'm going to make a $500,000 profit on that property, because of the fact that we're going to provide financing for that customer for the next 40 years. Potentially, I'm going to make a $500,000 off that property. Now, you do a
Lou, hold on, buddy. Guys, like when you run these numbers, it took me like 9 years to figure this out. Okay. Like if you're just starting out, say this again, Lou. Say it again. Like, this is so powerful. Like, I want everybody to hear this, and I want everybody to embrace this and realize how powerful the statement he just said.
Well, I love that you're focusing on this, because it is absolutely my vision to pass this information on to others. We have a freaking amazing business. I will just say, thank you, God. We have an amazing business. Every month, people are giving us money. It is a money machine. And the reason is that I didn't adopt flipping as my strategy. If I had adopted flipping as my strategy, then I would have all those taxes and I would have nothing to show for it after that. So yeah, you can get a pile of money, but after that, what are you going to do? Where is your return on investment, your return on energy? And so when you put a customer in that home, and let's say that you acquired that customer using our strategy, you acquired that customer before you even bought the home. Now you've got a customer in the pipeline. We go purchase that home for them. And literally they look at the property and they go, yeah, baby, count me in. I want to do it. And we show them the house without the repairs being done. So they can choose to do some, all, or none of the repairs. So that's another aspect to this business that can be a torture chamber for a lot of investors, because the fact is that they can end up having to do a whole bunch of extra work, which could be avoided. Absolutely avoided. You don't have to deal with contractors. I call them contractors. You know, they got con built right into their name, but they got tractor built in their name too. And believe me, I've been there, done that. I've done hundreds of renovations and definitely seen that side of the world. And we've done very, very well with renovations. But what I discovered is that really didn't give me a long-term income stream. So now what we're doing, offering the program to the public absolutely loves it. They embrace it. They, appreciate it. They say, where have you been all my life? They really not only embrace it for themselves, they actually send other people. So they've got, their relatives, their friends, just a great opportunity to be able to spread the wealth, so to speak, and help others as well. So that's another aspect of what we do. We call it doing good while doing well. In fact, that's one of my Amazon bestsellers, doing good while doing well. How real estate investors provide a service. Well, let's see. How real estate investors provide a service and make a difference, right? So that is what we do. It's absolutely what we believe in. And so think about the legacy of what you're doing. It's not just making money, it's also helping someone else and changing their lives as well. So back to what you were asking me about, which was, buying it for 100,000, selling it for 150,000. That $50,000 profit, to me, that's just equity, but that's not really where the money is. So, for example, I just had someone a couple of weeks ago bought a house from us. He had $60,000 to put down. So we sold him a $400,000 house. He put $60,000 down, and we're receiving an almost $2,300 just principal and interest from him every month, and plus taxes and insurance on top of that. So imagine that's $2,300. That's a property that we bought for, I'm embarrassed to say, $75,000. and we didn't do a whole lot to it. And it came available on our program because the lady that was in it moved to Florida. She said, here, you can have the house back. I said, good. That's fantastic. Another thing that we do, Jim, as we and Caleb, we actually connect with real estate agents. So real estate agents have tons of customers, and they've got people that can't qualify for loans. And that's who our customers are, is people who can't qualify in the traditional way. So we come along and say, hey, we can help. We can solve that problem for you today. And sure enough, it was a real estate agent that brought me the customer that had the $60,000 down. So the real estate agent made out good, and we did very well too.
Question real quick, because I know a lot of people are going to ask this. So agents are going to want to get paid. What do you guys offer in a compensation for an agent if they bring you a buyer that you can buy with that they come in? So that's a great question. And it really depends on how much money their customer has. So let's say that their customer has $10,000. Well, the agent's going to get 20% of the money at the table, up to a full 3% commission. So in other words, it's limited it's top ended at a 3% commission overall. And it's bottom ended at 20% of the money at the table. And they love it. There's no issue with that. You're paying them for a deal they never would have closed.
You put your finger right on it. It is exactly the customers that we're telling them, look, these are customers you would have thrown away. These are customers you can't do anything with. And we can absolutely. And so when they look at our program, they look at our website, they're blown away, and they go, okay, yeah, this looks like a real deal. I had another agent not too long ago brought me one with actually the customer had $57,000 to put down. We ended up with $45,000 of that. And the customer taking the house as is actually got another $7,500 credit from us towards the purchase of the home. So the customer ended up with $52,500 as a credit on that home. And we sold that home for $225,900. So, sometimes people hear the word affordable housing and they're thinking about junker houses. And just know that it's across the spectrum. It's lower end, it's higher end. You don't have to have a limitation on the price point of the home. It's the customer. And there's lots of customers like this out there that do have the ability to pay and the down payment, but they cannot qualify at the bank.
Yeah, that's an amazing way to get those leads. We do that, but we haven't went after the agent targeting to try and get agents to refer us business. But so I love that. That is gold right there.
Man, it is huge. It is just huge. And I actually make and I teach my students how to make presentations to these real estate agents. We do it by Zoom. We go to their office, whatever, and we make a full-blown presentation on who we are and what we do. In fact, we've got a whole brochure, on our path to home ownership. So we give this to the agents, and it explains the whole program and tells them who we are and what we do, so that they have an understanding of what it is and they can give it to clients. And many of them have one that they're working with right now, or have one, that they threw away that they can resurrect.
Yeah. I know I probably have some people that I've called on in the past that I'm an agent as well. So.
Yes. Oh, this is good stuff. You get to
I'm an investor first, but I am an agent as well. But
well, about 60% of my clients, my training clients, are real estate agents. So you are very bright to, become an investor and have the ability to use your real estate license as well.
So Lou, hey, real quick. So you have people in a lease option for 2 to 3 years is what, and then you convert them into a 40-year financing. Is that what you said earlier? Tell me a little bit more on that. Hey there, if you're looking to get the ultimate edge for your real estate investing company, go to doorstodeals.com/invest for more information. Just so you know, a high percentage of the people that we interview on this podcast are actually already Three Doors Network members. And our network members have a lot of extra resources. They have access to an online training vault with over 3 years worth of content in it. They have access to vendor savings like our Home Depot discount that's literally saved thousands of dollars for members. And we have a weekly group coaching call, and we have a lot of other great things as well as part of the Three Doors Network. So make sure that you check it out on doorstodeals.com/invest. So you have people in a lease option for 2 to 3 years is what, and then you convert them into a 40-year financing. Is that what you said earlier? Tell me a little bit more on that.
Yeah. So our path to home ownership is rent to own, owner finance, cash sale. So that's kind of like the steps up the trajectory. And it all begins with how much down payment they have to work with. So if they have at least 3.7% of the value of the property, they're going to go in our rent to own. Now we have a bronze, silver, gold, and platinum level. So that's our silver level. And that means they didn't have 10%, which is our gold level. They have to have 10% in order to get the in-house financing. And we give them a land contract. Also, I call it an agreement for deed. And so at that level, they've put and given us at least 10% of the value of the property. And so they can, while they're in the home at the rent to own level, our program is designed so that they're earning credits every month that they pay on time. They earn a $100 credit towards moving up to the next level. So that builds up the amount of down payment that they have so that they can make it up to that next level of the in-house financing, or get good enough credit, which we do offer that as part of our program as well. We put them into credit restoration, and that's to help them build up their score so they could end up with a new loan from the bank if they wanted it.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I'm analyzing, okay, what do we do that's the same? What do we do that's a little bit different? There's lots of similarities, but lots of differences too. This is neat, man.
Well, one of the big things that I really discovered is that if we can mitigate our risk, right? So real estate is a very risky. Why? Because it's cyclical. We don't know when they're going to turn off the lights. I'm going into my 5th real estate cycle. So I know what real estate cycles look like, and I know when they're coming, and I know what's the impact is going to be. So I said, what can I do? This is when everything crashed last time. I said, what can I do to level the playing field? What can I do to make it a lot more dependable, predictable in the business? And what I discovered is that selling is always the missing link, so to speak. You don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know how much it's going to sell for. You don't know how much carrying costs you're going to have during that time. And there's just a lot of things that you have to really consider. So what I decided to do was to begin finding customers first before I offer the real estate. And that has been a real game changer for us. So we designed a whole program around it called the House Monster. And it's a system to actually have people, or it's a marketing system to find those people that want what we've got, right? And so when those people show up in our world, then we interview them and we find out how much down payment they have, how much they can afford on a monthly basis. But we also put them into a membership, so they do have some skin in the game. Now, that's unheard of in real estate. You don't get paid up front for anything in real estate, but we do. We do. And so it's a $50 membership per person, and we get that up front from our customers before we show them property, before we do anything, because there's so many benefits of the membership anyway. They want the membership. So they join the membership. Then we go about finding a property for them if we don't have one in inventory already. And that is a game changer as well. Now, the next thing is, since we're looking at their credit right now up front, we're actually seeing that it's less than perfect. So we put them into credit restoration. Well, we get paid for that from the nonprofit organization that does the credit restoration. So that's another income stream. So I'm a big believer in multiple streams of income for a long-term business like we've got. And a lot of people look at what we do and they say, well, that's landlording, but it's not. What we do is something quite different than landlording. So landlording is the difference between what your mortgage payment is and what you rent the property for. That's landlording. We begin there and have 25 profit centers over and above that. So our approach to the market is completely different than a traditional landlord.
So how active are you versus coaching now? Like in your...
Oh, yeah, we have a very active business. But you know what's cool about it? I've got a fantastic team, and I honestly only have to devote a couple of hours a week to it. The team does everything. So my love is teaching and coaching and helping people to build amazing multi-million-dollar businesses. So that's kind of where my attention is.
Gotcha.
And then I've got this amazing multi-million-dollar business over here that is run by other people. And we have a weekly meeting, and I'm able to oversee from the different departments. They're making their reports on that weekly meeting. And I'm able to follow up during the week on anything I need to, but it doesn't take a lot of time.
Yeah. What's how many deals a month is the team doing?
Oh, anywhere from 4 to 6, typically.
4 to 6. So now that's a 4 to 6 when you're only spending about an hour a week on it or whatnot. That's amazing. Like that is fantastic.
It's a great return on time.
Oh my goodness.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And, you know, one of the great things that we've been able to develop over time is a great brand as well. So one thing leads to another because we're offering something in the marketplace. It's not just traditional landlording.
Yeah. So, okay. So Lou, so you mentioned 5 real estate cycles that you've been on, and it feels like you're still buying right now and holding on. Like you have, So like the sky falling? Is it not falling? Like what's happening now within the market? And what are you seeing? What are you thinking?
Well, Jim, the truth is that cycles and depressions and recessions are very local. So in certain parts of the country, there's going to be a much bigger impact than other parts of the country. And we saw that in the last downturn as well, that there were certain places that didn't feel the impact at all. And it was because of the law of supply and demand. So if they have a sufficient number of folks that are looking for properties, then you're just not going to see the big crashes. It's where they had created the anomalies of the bad loans. And we're here in Atlanta, Georgia, and they had created a lot of bad loans here. And so we were the benefactor of that in a very large degree, because we just I know a good deal when I see it. And we started buying houses like Banshee. Like we were just buying like crazy because the numbers obviously didn't make sense, meaning that they were selling for too cheap versus the return on investment. And Wall Street, of course, caught wind of that as well. So back then, we didn't have Wall Street in our business. Now we've got Wall Street in our business. So it's a little bit different.
So you're buying, you're holding. I mean, what are you seeing? If you waved a magic wand, when's the next kind of?
Well, you think about it. I'm really buying for my customers. So I'm not taking a risk. I'm not taking a chance. I'm not buying something that I'm not sure I can sell. I'm buying for customers that we already have. So that's, anybody either getting started in the business or having been in the business forever, that is really a great way to do this business because you're not taking the risk. And certainly, I think we are going into a risky period in real estate, depending on where you're located, right? So different parts of the country are going to be impacted by that. And I think that's something to be careful of, be cautious of, and know that you can get whipped on those bad markets.
So the one thing I would know, so I haven't been through 5 cycles. I've really, this is I guess kind of maybe the second, or I don't know exactly how the cycle works. So I started 13 years ago.
Yeah.
And the sky was falling, everything was crashing. So no, I haven't actually been on the flip side and then kind of like having it reset. The one thing I would tell you about when we were in the historic once in every 100-year recession, especially because real estate caused said recession, there was still money to be made. If you hustled, you still had the deals, you're still able to do deals, you're still able to make money. And that was, kind of a bloodbath for a lot of people in that market.
No doubt about it. So in the 5 cycles that I've been through, that was absolutely true. Now, when I got started in this business, this is going to blow your mind. Interest rates were 21%. When I got started, interest rates were 21%. Thank you, Jimmy Carter, right? So all of a sudden, you look at what's available out there. Well, what was available? Seller financing was available because sellers couldn't sell any other way. And I bought my first duplex. Now, I told you about my house that I bought when I was 18, but I bought my first duplex by taking over existing financing on the property and having the seller carry back financing. And what a deal that I got on that seller financing, 12.5%.
Oh.
That was good stuff.
My highest mortgage ever was 6 3/4 is the highest one I ever got. I was 18 years old and had no credit.
How about that? That's a good example of what has happened over the years. And that's one of the things really that's driven up the price of real estate because low interest drives up value.
And so one of the things why I got overly excited. I made Lou kind of repeat himself earlier. Is if you get a mortgage calculator out, guys, and you start playing around with how much money the bank makes, you don't buy a house for $200,000. What you buy is the mortgage payment, and the lender on that, it's astronomical how much money the lender makes. So the thing that I get excited about is I have ran the numbers. I have been able to compare them to what a flip makes. And I mean, I would much rather go for a $500,000 deal over 20 years or whatever the span ends up being than worry about trying to make $50K over 6 months that I'm going to get taxed on. I'm taking a much bigger risk on it. If someone doesn't, if the plumbing's leaking or if there's some issues that we weren't figuring out or factoring in, maybe we only make 20 on it. We just worked our tail off for not all that much money.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I like to do something today that produces an income forever, like I was saying earlier. And that, when you actually become the bank for the customer, that's what happens. And they love you, by the way. They appreciate the opportunity. So, sometimes people say, oh, well, they're, taking advantage of them. Not at all. They would not have the opportunity to have a home if it wasn't for you. and they appreciate it. And we also guide them. We support them in getting better credit, better score, so they can go to the bank and qualify for a loan at a later time if they want to. We've had a lot of people actually get better scores and not want to leave us. They say, well, we don't really want to go to the bank. And we've even lowered our interest rate for some of those customers just to keep them. We know the asset, we know the people, we know the payment history. Why get rid of them? Just give them a better deal.
I love it.
So, question: do you foresee interest rates ticking up high in the next 5 years? With your experience, what would you say you think is going to happen with interest rates?
What I've learned is that the markets are extremely manipulated. So what we see and we think it happens by happenstance, it doesn't. It's all manipulated. It's all by design. And once I realized that I couldn't predict what they were going to do. Not right now, for example, interest rates are extremely low. Well, what are they doing? They're pumping cash into the economy like nobody's business. And they're pumping out all these loans, these EIDL loans. Well, those are provided by banks. There's all kinds of different, those are pretty amazing loans, by the way. 30 years at 3 3/4% interest, and you don't have to start your payments for 2 years. So if anybody's interested in that, you got one more month before that money goes away. But there's some good opportunities there. But generally speaking, financing is something that you want to embrace. And the way I love to look at it is the asset itself has some kind of financing on it, either the existing financing on the property or the seller carrying back financing. Now, or a combination of the two. Now, in that world, I'm able to get the financing with 0 points, sometimes 0 interest as well. And that's another piece of the puzzle. So my cost of funds is very low compared to what I'm going to yield on the other side, offering it on the path to home ownership. Now I've got a real opportunity out of the gate, giving somebody else a chance at that and making a beautiful spread on an asset that I didn't pay nearly as much as I'm selling it for.
So we're kind of reading between the lines on the interest rates based on like how you're structuring and how you're doing it. Like you don't even really think much about it because it just isn't going to, it's not going to impact you all that much based on how you run your business.
So according to the Dodd-Frank Act, we have limitations on the interest that we can charge. And so you're limited to 3 points, and we roll the points into the loan. And then you can charge 6.5 points above the average daily interest rate. So right now it's about 9.7%. So that's the maximum interest you can charge on one of those seller finance loans. The 3 points plus that, unless there's any state law limitations over and above that. So that works out pretty good. And imagine that you've got an underlying financing at 3.5%. You've got that spread on the money below versus the money above, plus the spread on the equity in the property as well.
And that's why you do the 40 years is because you're getting 9% interest. So you stretch.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it lowers their payment as well.
Yeah.
It lowers their payment. So one thing we do look at is how much they earn. And we want to make sure that they do have the ability to pay. And that's a real thing. You have got to make sure that they have the ability to pay. We want to set them up for success, not for failure. And that's why we've had so much success with our business, because we have been blessed because we bless others. And we want to make sure that they are going to have a successful ride with us if we possibly can influence that.
I love it. And anybody helping others is always going to succeed themselves.
So if you had I have a kind of a question for you, man. So like if you had one piece of actionable advice that you give your 18-year-old self, you can only give one thing, like what would be the most important thing that you could tell yourself?
I would have, because back in the day, we really didn't have mentors, coaches. We didn't have support. We didn't have the education that's available today. I would definitely have, I would re-advise myself to get help because I made a lot of mistakes. I will tell you, I made a lot of mistakes that could have been avoided. And there's a lot of money that was lost that could have been kept if I had just had somebody looking over my shoulder and saying, hello, don't make that mistake. Let me just show you about what can happen right now. And all of a sudden you go, aha. And you didn't realize that you were about to make that mistake. Well, I love guiding people now because I see exactly the same thing. They're about to make a big mistake, and it could be a very costly mistake. And I say, let's tweak this. Let's go back to the seller and say the following things. And as a result of that, we can make this deal work, as opposed to throwing your hands up and running the other way, or going forward with it and actually setting yourself up for failure.
Hiring a coach is probably the most important thing to do.
It really is. It really is, especially if someone has no background or experience in this business. I tell people there is a learning curve here. You don't just come to the table with knowing all there is to know. There is certain things about real estate that are common sense, but there's an awful lot of things that are not. And paperwork and steps to take and not leaving certain things out are very important, decisions that you have to make, and make sure that you don't do those things. Well, if somebody's not looking over your shoulder, that definitely can happen if you're creating your own future. Definitely make a mistake there. But yeah, I've discovered that. I found that I would definitely get more education. And the second thing I would have done is to buy more property. I kind of rocked along in the first few years while I was learning, not doing enough. And, I bought one here, and maybe every quarter I was buying a house, and it just wasn't on a trajectory to win. And so I would have definitely done a lot more deals, but there again, I didn't have the support. So it made sense for me to go slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to move too fast early on, because you can definitely hose yourself. I wish I bought more property.
Oh, well, and you still
probably agree to hold more property.
No, I mean, in some ways, maybe this is like a good thing for my contributions, whatever those are going to end up being for the world, that I didn't do this. But I remember Ryan and I looked at ourselves in 2010, and I said, dude, we can buy $150 a month cash flowing property all for these 10 houses on the MLS. We can give them full asking price. We give them what they want and just hold on to them. And we both said, nah, we don't feel like being a landlord. It's oh man. So we had a run there that, and with the volume we do, I mean, guys, we're talking, Ryan and I's net worth could be another 2-3 million easy than what it is right now, had we just bought and hold on to more property.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And, and the long-term aspect of it. Like we were saying before, $150,000 deal becomes a $500,000.
Yeah.
Wow, you don't need a lot of those. Yeah. Actually, so, you don't need a lot of those to be a multi-million-dollar business.
You don't. Yeah, and so I like to be the optimist about it. It's why I'm still here, and I'm not on a beach somewhere as a 37-year-old, right? But no, I mean, we have enough real estate now, so we're kind of blessed there. But yeah, that 5-year run for me, it's just So, okay. So next step, looking forward, what mountain are you climbing? What are you looking to, what's in your future, man?
Well, I love what we're doing. I'm helping people to build amazing multi-million-dollar businesses in their local communities, within a lot of them within 5 miles of where they live. And so literally there's a community there within 5 miles of where you live that you could have an amazing business and not have to go the whole metro area. And so I teach people how to actually build a business local to where they live and make the connections necessary for that to happen. Because many of the deals that we buy, nobody ever saw. They never were on the MLS. Nobody. It's a whole stealth process of finding real estate and finding buyers as well. So we're not competing with everybody else. People say, what happened with that house? It wasn't even on the market. And we just laugh and say, yeah, you're right. It was never on the market. So as far as Wall Street goes, I'm not worried about Wall Street. I'm not worried about my competitors in town because we're focused on a particular target market. And that's how we're able to do deals that other people aren't able to do. So I love sharing that with people, love helping them grow their businesses and grow this brand, the Certified Affordable Housing Provider. We have about 660 licensees all across the country that are CAPs, and we love that. And they have built some great businesses right there in St. Louis and other places as well. And we've got multiples in a single market, so they're actually supporting one another in building their businesses as well. So if you think about like a Keller Williams or Coldwell Banker, what do you have? You have a lot of competitors in the same room, but they support each other. And that's exactly the way we look at our business as well. So helping people to build businesses together and supporting one another and doing that. So we enjoy that process.
Oh, that's fantastic. So just kind of doing more of what you're doing. That's awesome.
Yes. Yes. That's really what my mission is. Well, I'll tell you what the mission is. Our mission is to transform lives through affordable housing, to empower families and individuals to enjoy the American dream of home ownership. So that is the mission that all of my licensees adopt. And that becomes how they are doing their business in their local community as well.
Oh, that's amazing. So Lou Brown, ladies and gentlemen, Lou Brown.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I've gotten some good nuggets. I definitely appreciate this time you spent with us, Lou.
Yeah. So best way to get a hold of you, can they just Google your name or what's?
Oh, well, here how about I give you something? This is my buy, hold, sell book.
Okay.
So everybody, if you go to streetsmartinvestor.com/buy, hold, sell Lou, just add the word Lou on the end, BUYHOLDSELLLOU, then I will gift you the book, the download version, or you have the opportunity to get a print version if you want to do that, and we'll ship it to you.
And the print version's only $1,000, guys. So
we make it
made
very
payable to me on Venmo.
Yeah, made payable to Caleb Davis. He's wholesaling books now.
yeah. But no, it's $24.95 on Amazon, and it's a gift for all your folks.
All right, I appreciate that. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Absolutely. And we're going to have a one day coming up in January. And that's going to be January the 8th. And that's called Wealth Builder Workshop, wealthbuilderworkshop.online. It's a whole $1 for a whole day.
Okay. There you go. Yeah.
If you think about what we did today, now think about having 8 hours of that, because I'm also going to teach trusts, land trusts and personal property trusts, which is another important thing for people to learn. And protecting all that you create and having it separated so that people can't attack the whole. They would only be able to attack a piece, and setting up your estate of probate avoidance, asset protection, all the goodies. I'm going to teach that on the one day as well. So you're welcome to join me for that.
All right. Well, I appreciate it.
And they can sign up for that anytime, but we'll notify them right before the one day.
Whenever it's going. All right, guys, that's a wrap for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Don't forget the full episode and the resources and a lot of other cool tools and tips and tricks that we have available can be found on our website, doorstodeals.com. /073 for this particular episode. Additionally, we're trying to help 250 people become financially free. We've been generating about $130,000 a month in revenue this past year, and we can help you too. So all you have to do is just send us over an email inquiring about passive income opportunities to deals@3doors.com. Once again, that's deals@3doors.com, and we get you more information on what we have available. So that's all I got for today. Go out, live your purpose, and above all else, go after your dreams. Till next time. Thanks for tuning into this show. For more episodes and resources that will unlock doors to deals, check out our website, doorstodeals.com.